Red velvet cake. Hey guys, today we're making my aunt's famous red velvet cake. You want to start off with your bowl and go ahead and put your strainer on top of your bowl because we're going to sift the dry ingredients to make sure there's no lumps. Okay, so into the dry ingredients, we have sifted 2.5 cups of flour. That's gonna be all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure you don't confuse that with baking powder or you're gonna be in trouble. 2 cups of granulated sugar and 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. And you might wanna make that a heaping tablespoon because that's where the flavor is coming from. We're gonna just sift that together into the bowl. All right, now you're gonna put those dry ingredients over to the side, and in a separate bowl, we're gonna mix together our wet ingredients. So to the bowl, I'm gonna add 1 cup of buttermilk, 1.5 cups of vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract, 2 bottles of red food coloring, and you wanna make sure you get the liquid color and not the gel, and 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. And then we're just gonna stir this together. All right, now we're gonna mix that up. And just keep in mind, whenever you're baking a cake, you always wanna have your ingredients at room temperature. You would never wanna take eggs out of a refrigerator and try to mix them and incorporate them into any kind of batter. So you wanna sit your ingredients out the day before, whether it's milk, cheese, butter, eggs, whatever. Take it out, set it out the day before, let it come to room temperature before you bake with it. If you decide to bake last minute, you can always put hot water into a bowl or a cup, and you can just sit your eggs or a cup of milk or your butter down into the hot warm water, and it should come to room temperature fairly quick. All right, now that your wet ingredients have been stirred together and mixed in, now we're gonna take our bowl of dry ingredients and we're gonna add in a little bit at a time. So all together, I would say you would just put half and half in and just stir it until it's incorporated, and then you're gonna add the remainder of your flour. So you just continue stirring that until all the lumps are gone. All right, now my favorite part when I was young was to put the butter around in the pan and then pour the all-purpose flour in, and that just served as a way to make it easier for the cake to come out. However, you've added 1.5 cups of vegetable oil to this batter, so it's gonna be pretty easy. The only thing I added to my pans here was some butter Pam just to make sure, but it'll come out fairly easy. So one thing I forgot to tell y'all was your oven should always be on before you start baking. So you wanna go ahead and put that on 350 because y'all know that's what we cook everything on. And then we're just gonna pop these in the oven and we're gonna start our icing next. All right, for the cream cheese, we need 2 blocks of room temperature cream cheese, 1 stick of unsalted butter at room temperature, and 1 box of powdered sugar. Blend together and set aside until you're ready to. All right, this is what your cake should look like when it comes out of the oven. You're gonna sit it on a rack and just allow it to cool a little bit. You never wanna ice when your cake is fresh out the oven or your icing will melt. So I would say allow it to cool about 2 or 3 hours, and then you're gonna go ahead and place your icing on. The first layer of icing is called your crumb layer, and it just hides all of the imperfections. If you're not great at icing cakes, I promise you this trick will make you look like a professional. So get as much icing on as possible and as thin of a layer and as neat as you can possibly get it, and we're gonna pop this in the freezer and allow it to cool. All right, booyah, it's out of the freezer, and now we're ready for our top final layer. So now that you have the crumb layer on, it's kind of stiff and it just makes it easier to ice. Now you just want to get as much icing on as possible, as smooth as possible. This may take you a while, just play with it. Have fun doing this because like I said, it's kind of like therapy. Finished product, and I must say so myself, this is one of the best cakes I think I've ever made. Shout out to my Aunt Algie and everybody that trusted me to make this cake. If you decide to make this cake, I want to see pictures of your cake. Do not be ashamed because we all have a starting point. I can't wait to see what you're gonna do, and if you're looking forward to our next video, stay tuned. We're making the caramel chocolate keto cheesecake.